Greetings, I am Herbert Erpaderp, and this is Ask a Herbert Erpaderp with me, Herbert Erpaderp, the world's leading Herbert Erpaderp, and hopefully the only one. This fortnight I've used some video I captured a while ago on a walk with my sister. If there's any interest, I might upload a version of this video by itself, perhaps with commentary if I can think of any, or at least without my rambling and question answering. Let me know in the comments section if that's something that interests you. The video in question here is a walk to a place called White Rock, and we took the less commonly used ridge track, which you will see is very obviously different to the main track, more narrow and rocky. It's a really nice walk with some lovely views. We didn't actually make it all the way to White Rock, because once we got close enough that we could see White Rock, we noticed there was a bunch of hooligans there and they were loud and annoying, so we went home. This is what we get for going there on a public holiday. Next time we will probably actually go to the rock, and hopefully get some video and maybe even climb up. I've been up there before, and the view is really quite nice. I've come to quite enjoy bushwalking, and there's a few tracks and places around Brisbane and surrounds that I would like to explore. I don't suppose many of you are also familiar with the city, but if you are, and you have some walking trails or anything of that nature that I simply must try, let me know in the comments section below. Onward to the responding to questions and also comments. First, Anders something something. I'd have butchered that name if I tried to say it. Anders says, "Thumbed up because you don't actually suck. I hope you're healing up well." I was actually a little bit confused by this comment at first, but then I remembered that sick burn last fortnight. I'm a numpty. Those burns were so severe I'm surprised I forgot. The healing is slow, but one day I will recover, at least physically. Foku Rules, who appears to be an adorable little seal, says, "Good morning/afternoon depending on where you are, Herbert." It's actually 5:36 PM here now as I record this, so a good afternoon to you too, Foku Rules. Joe's Model Kits says, "Great video as always, Herbert. Do you prefer weathered vehicles or factory fresh looking vehicles and why? Many thanks." It really depends. In general, I like to see vehicles with some wear and use, and that's usually the way I try to make my models look. So, on the scale between factory fresh and has had the crap beaten out of it and covered in mud, I lean closer to factory fresh. Of course, I appreciate nicely done models of vehicles in any condition and at all levels of weathering, but in general, I prefer my own models to be fairly clean but still used. I'm not exactly sure why this is. I think for mud, I like seeing the actual vehicle and its parts, and the mud can obscure that. Also, I guess seeing a tank that is meant to be currently in use but is covered in rust, for example, just doesn't seem that realistic to me. Most tank crews are probably not going to let their tank become a rusted out hulk, if that makes sense. I do of course enjoy seeing that kind of thing, and if that's what floats your boat, more power to you. That's the good thing about this hobby, you can have your models just how you want them. Joe's Model Kits also had a comment and a bunch more questions a couple of days later, so I figured I would answer them here. He says, "I do like the Rubicon kits, but they seem just a little overpriced. Or at least they seem overpriced in England. They seem halfway between a gamer's kit and a modeler's kit, which is good, and they do have plenty of options for various types. So all in all, they are good kits. Anyway, have fun and please keep us up to date with your latest projects." Of course I'll keep everyone up to date with my latest projects, to an extent. I do like to keep some mystery as to what's coming. Also, sometimes plans change, so I don't really like to let people know too much ahead of time, to avoid disappointment when plans inevitably change. My patrons do get an update every so often that outlays a few weeks worth of upcoming videos, and soon they'll get a very small preview of my next painting project. Just saying. That said, on Monday I've got a new video about the new Rubicon models Katyusha, which is a really cool model, and somewhat relevant to your comment. I have noticed that Rubicon's kits are a little bit more expensive than, say, Warlord's in most cases, and definitely more expensive than the Italeri branded versions. My memory is garbage, so I could be wrong, but I don't think that's always been the case, and I would have sworn they were a bit cheaper last year or the year before, I think, whenever it was that I got my very first Rubicon kits. That said, I do think they are worth the money and they're not that much more expensive than comparable Warlord stuff. And you are right, they usually include more options and many more leftover parts for the bits box. That said, the recent Warlord and Italeri tanks that I've looked at lately have also had quite a few options and leftover bits. What I think is important is there's competition in the field of 28mm scale World War II miniatures. It gives us modelers more choices, which is always awesome. The rest of the questions are, what are your favourite kits? What is is your favourite kit manufacturer? What are your favourite paints? I find these kind of questions hard because I can be a pretty indecisive person. At the moment, and this is likely to change, my favourite kit I've built recently is the Rubicon M10. The Tamiya King Tiger was also quite an enjoyable build, and Malifo's plastics have always been really good in my opinion. I especially enjoyed building Willy the Demolitionist. I can't decide on a favourite manufacturer. The nicest one I've dealt with has been Rubicon, but I've also received really good customer service from both Warlord and Battlefront, though I've never dealt with them in any other capacity. I just don't know. I like that there are a lot of good manufacturers out there. My favourite paints I'd say are Vallejo. I have tried some others, and I liked them too, but not enough to replace my collection of Vallejo colours. Also, unfortunately, all the Scream cookies are gone. Enjoy your Snickers. Boon Gaming YT says, is there a way to dust the overall model without Tamiya's thinned down buff colour? Of course there is. You could use thinned down versions of buff from any manufacturer, or any other colour you want for dust, like Vallejo Iraqi Sand for a lighter colour or maybe a grey or something, or even a green if you want something crazy. You could use alcohol-based weathering effects from companies like AK Interactive. Alcohol-based stuff is good because it can be removed fairly easily. You could also try using weathering pigments. I don't have a whole lot of experience with them, but they should give you a nice realistic dusty appearance if you apply them right, being that they're powders that you dust on. You can also make your own powders from artists' chalks. There's a lot of options really. Cooper Hamlin says, wait what? Was that a Citadel brush I saw? Herbert, how could you? I know. I'm a horrible, horrible person and I should get in the bin. There's actually 2 Citadel standard brushes in there and a wash brush. I bought them about 1 billion years ago. Hey man, we all make mistakes when we're young. I keep them because it's nice to have a large selection of brushes. Actually, they're not too bad. I kind of use them as beta brushes and they've stood up to that use for quite a while. That said, I probably wouldn't buy Citadel brushes again. Cooper then says, can you film more trains? Too cool for me. Can't tell if making a joke or not. I would actually like to get some video of interesting trains. I know Queensland Rail does operate some steam trains fairly regularly around my city, but I never seem to be able to get myself to go and video them. Often I don't even know when they're running. Also, I can't really justify the ticket price to actually ride on them, but it would be sweet. Also, I enjoy the rumble of huge diesel locomotives as they roar by, but I feel like it would be a huge waste of my time just sitting by the tracks waiting for them to come by. I do plan to attend more model railway exhibitions in the future too, and you can be sure I'll be filming that. Make says, you still play Heroes and Generals? Not at the moment I don't. I've been taking a bit of a break from gaming. I'll probably get back to it once I get a new GPU. It's pretty low on my list of priorities at the moment though. I've actually been spending a lot of the time I would have spent on gaming trying to exercise and get healthier. Feels good, man. On my 2000 subs thank you video, Jacob says, you ate my cookie. I didn't eat it, it fell. I swear, I can't control gravity. Sorry about the cookie though, it was horrible and delicious. Graham Collins says, congratulations on the subs mate, cookies look yummy but sadly diabetes and high cholesterol precludes my participation in their devouring. Thank you very much, and I'm sorry to hear that. I also have diabetes and it's no fun at all, so it is rather naughty for me to be eating cookies. I've got it under fairly good control though, so sometimes I can treat myself. That said, most of those cookies went back in the bag and it took me a while to get through them all. They were delicious though. Martin Strickfuss says, okay, you eat the cookies, but for 3k you need to buy us cars. Cars you say, but I can't eat cars. Or can I? We'll have to see about that one. Presbyter says, I personally stopped buying AK products when I learned what they did to MiG Jimenez. MiG Jimenez? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Vallejo and MiG are my go-to products now. I'll admit to not really knowing about the goings-on between MiG Jimenez and whoever at AK Interactive. A quick Google search seems to suggest AK fired him without warning, which really does suck, but to be honest, I don't feel like people's personal conflicts and drama should really impact my purchases, and it's certainly not going to make me do anything silly like getting rid of the AK products I already have. That'd just be wasteful. I might feel differently about it if I knew the guy personally, but I don't. To be fair though, I haven't yet got a hold of any of the Ammo by MiG products at all. I would definitely be willing to try them out, and if they're better than the things I have now, I would start using them. I just checked and my favourite online store doesn't even have the Ammo by MiG products, so that kind of thing has an effect on what I use too. On my Rubicon M10/M36 video, Boar Harms says, "That looks great as usual by Rubicon. I bet your bits box is quite happy with this kit too, as it has so many options, and thus so many extra bits for your bits box." My bits box is always very happy with kits like these, and so am I. In fact, I demonstrated my bits box and its enjoyment of the M10 kit on last week's Herbert Erpaderp's Quick Tips. If you've not seen that, you can click the video on screen now to check it out. There's also a link in the description. Here are some comments from that video. Boon Gaming YT says, "I leave all the extra bits in the kit's box, so it's kinda easier to find it. I would love to have the space to do that. It would be kind of like a library, with shelves full of miniature boxes instead of books." Wait, I think that's called a gaming store. Either way, that would be cool, and I could use it as a set for making videos or something. I do actually keep a lot of the boxes on the off chance they'll be useful again. Maybe one day for something like that. They're all folded down and kept in another box to save space, which is at a premium here. Gerwin Steenbergen says, "Throw it in a box and forget it until you need something. When you are searching the box, you might get some good ideas." That's a pretty good argument for keeping everything all mixed together. Though usually, if I'm going into my bits box, I already have an idea of what I want, or at least what scale of thing I want. Also, with the clear Ziploc bags, you can see the parts, so it's almost the same. You can still see the other bits when looking for a specific thing. I think for me, the frustration of how hard it would be to find specific things wouldn't really be worth the potential good ideas. Boar Harms says, "I always want to label and organise my extra bits, but somehow it all ends up in the same box unorganised. It took me a long time to work up the motivation to organise my bits. I guess I did start with partial organisation, which helped, but it was still hard. Once you get past that initial lump of effort required to organise things, it's not too much work to maintain. You might have to just do it, I guess, if you want that kind of organisation." Jacob says, "I use a bag to keep extra plastic parts and then accidentally throw it out the next day. I think I'd be annoyed enough at myself the first time I did that I wouldn't do it again, but maybe you should label the bag 'Do not throw away' or something like that." Harry Davies says, "I think you should show your magnet on a stick. My magnet on a stick died. Super glue doesn't have a lot of shear strength, and I dropped it in such a way that the magnet came right off. It was a sad day. Rest in peace, magnet on a stick." Seriously though, temporary holders for models is a good idea for a Herbert Erpaderp's Quick Tips video, and I've added it to the list. Pug says, "Nice Achilles you got there. I'd really love to see you play Kerbal Space Program, if you haven't already. Then you could do Herbert Erpaderp's Spaceship of Derp." I've played a lot of Kerbal Space Program a long while ago, and it's an awesome game. Of course I'm complete garbage at it, but it's still super fun. I don't think I ever did a video about it. Every time I see robbers play it, I get the urge to play it myself though. Maybe I should. I wonder how it would look and run with no GPU. Also, yes, it is a nice Achilles. The Big Boy says, "Can you do a tour of your modelling/gaming room?" If by gaming room you mean a room specifically for playing tabletop wargames, well, I don't have one of those. This isn't really going to be a very exciting tour, if you could even call it a tour. I only have a small amount of space, which is very, very messy. I need to do more cleaning. Anyway, this is the desk, obviously. As you can see, not much working space, but it works for me. I've got a bunch of little storage drawer thingies to keep stuff and things, a pair of monitors for monitoring. You can see my webcam mounted to its arm thingy here. I've got some lights for illumination, and you can see I've added some shades to the overhead lamp so I don't have to constantly have a bright light shining in my eyes. Going up here, you can see that I've got a bunch of unbuilt kits and other assorted clutter. These plastic boxes are where I keep my built but unpainted 28mm scale models, like so. You can see this one is getting a bit full. I think I might need to get more of these. Moving on, over this side of the desk I have my paints and some associated tools and odds and ends. Up here we have my PC, the window to which is covered by some black foam core for some reason. A printer, fake bone, and some miniature storage cases. This creeper-head cardboard box was given to me by a co-worker a while ago, and I'm amused by it, so I've kept it. This is where the church ruin I made a while ago lives. There's a KV2 chilling inside. My compressor hangs out down here on the floor under those drawers. Let's go over here. These storage cubes need some more cleaning, obviously, though they used to be much worse, if you can believe that. The little table over here is where I film my turntable shots using a large sheet of black cardboard as a backdrop. The top shelf is packed full of all kinds of junk. The big plastic box is full of scenery materials like static grass. And here's my RC T3485, which is wearing a bow tie. Bow ties are cool. These plastic drawers are for all kinds of crap. They are slightly organised. This one has some painting supplies and my little turntable that you might recognise from the end of most of my videos. The top one has all kinds of War Machine and Malifaux stuff. This is probably the neatest cube. This is where I keep my rule books and things like that, along with some finished models, including that perilous Stuka I painted a while ago. Its wheels have still not yet fallen off. There's my awesome 15mm scale rat. Over here is a mouse cage. This is where a mouse named Lance Uppercut lives. He doesn't seem especially active at the moment. And over here are the rest of my mouse cages. Nobody's really active at this time of day, though one cow-patterned mouse is up and about. Pet supplies and empty cages and stuff are up here. And that takes us back around to the desk. Got my headphones on a hook here, which makes them hard to lose. A cake turntable for spray painting. A paper towel holder. There's that fake bone again. Oh, and I didn't show these pink document drawers. These are where I keep 15mm scale models. And there's this card my sister gave me. I've kept it because it makes me chuckle. It says merry and bright, and the dog looks rather unimpressed, in case you couldn't see that. These drawers are for both unpainted and painted models, as evidenced by these painted German tanks. And I guess I might demonstrate my mic holder arm thingy. You can swing it around, move it up and down, and adjust it just how you want it. Of course, the pop filter needs to be adjusted when you move the microphone around, but this is much better than the original stand the Blue Yeti came with. Okay, so that's my tour of my teeny tiny modelling cave. I'm not very good at giving tours, but this has been asked for before and I figured I might as well share. It might also spur me into cleaning up the place a little bit better. I need a bigger place, I think. Moving on. On Monday's Bolt Action Churchill video, Ethan Ton says, the intro seems to repeat itself after a couple of seconds. So you say, greetings, I am Herbert Erpaderp, twice, maybe for extra emphasis. And you can see the reply I typed out there too. Also, Daniel Kelly, Kriegsman, is also having the same issue, but not just with my videos. And this leads me to think this is an issue with YouTube itself. Seems weird and it's not something I've encountered myself. I do put a lot of work into editing my videos, and I don't embarrass all that easily, but I would feel pretty bad if an error like that got past me in the editing process. I mean, right at the start of the video, it should be hard not to notice something like that. Of course, stuff does slip through the gaps from time to time. Usually I catch it before I hit the render button. A few times I've done dumb things like having the audio muted and rendering out a silent video, which is a bit annoying, but I generally catch things before uploading. Okay, so here's an example that's kind of funny, though maybe a little bit embarrassing for me. While editing next Monday's video, I noticed that I had forgotten a chunk of voiceover. Turns out that I didn't actually forget to record that section of the voiceover, but had forgotten to write it in the first place. And I felt really stupid. I guess as far as things that can go wrong, that's not too bad. I just wrote and recorded an extra section of audio to slot in, so it's not that bad. In fact, I wonder how noticeable it is. Because of things like the position of the microphone and your distance from it, voiceovers recorded at different times will sound slightly different. And I'm curious to know if anybody can spot the extra bit. Comment and let me know. The glorious prize is 37 internet points. I do appreciate it when people that watch my videos let me know if there's something wrong, especially patrons that see them early. I usually don't watch my videos again once the upload process is completed, so if there's something wrong at that point, I likely won't know about it unless somebody tells me. That way, if it's something really bad, I can go back, fix the error, and re-upload. I've not had to do that so far, but you never know. Boar Harms says, nice kit, it's going on to my never-ending to-build list. Have you ever looked into Solido or Solido die-cast models? They scale reasonably well with 28mm as they're around 1/50th scale. They're really nicely made, very heavily due to die-cast construction, often with real working individually linked metal tracks. I recently got a Solido Tiger and I'm very happy with it. I've never heard of this company. A quick googling, I didn't really have a lot of time before I wanted to start recording this video, didn't seem to reveal where I could buy them other than eBay, which I guess is fine. They do look interesting and working tracks really appeals to me, so I'll keep an eye out for them in the future and probably pick one up. They sound like they would make a nice desk ornament. Not that I have a desk job anymore where I can have cool ornaments and such on my desk, or much space on my desk at home, but still, I would like to have one. If you've got a link to somewhere I can find out more about them, or maybe a store or something, please post it in the comments. I'm assuming that Solido is a company that's still in business, otherwise I suppose eBay would be the best option. Kiro the Avenger says, "What, you didn't build the AVRE derp bus?" I was actually very tempted to do so. I've got the AVRE version in 15mm scale. I just figured since I'm only building one 28mm Churchill to start with, I might as well build a gun tank. Mostly because that's what I would be most likely to field in a gameplay sense. I'm no what you see is what you get gamer by any stretch, but I do like my models to look like what they're meant to be representing on the table where possible. I did also consider trying magnetization, but it seemed to be a bit too much effort. Rest assured, if I build another Churchill, it will most likely be the derpiest of AVRE derp bosses. I do enjoy silly derpy weapons after all. Yet another scout says, on the topic of Churchill tanks, have you ever built the Airfix Churchill Mark 7? It's the only model I can recall I stopped building out of frustration. First, the wheel assembly is just silly, and for some reason regardless of how much glue I use, they find a way to come off. Great video. I'm certainly going to have to pick up one of these kits to add to my growing collection of Churchills. Mark Byrne adds, I gave up on that kit too. I've not had what sounds like the misfortune of building that kit. I have seen it on the shelf in the hobby shop before, and been kind of tempted to buy it. I do quite like Churchills after all, but I never did buy it, and I've been told before that it's pretty bad, but the way you're describing it makes it sound abysmal. I probably won't buy one. Not unless I feel like punishing myself for some reason, I guess. Or people really want to see me build an awful kit. I don't think that's something people really want, but I've been wrong before. At any rate, I don't really like to make videos about things I know I'm not going to like, and it sounds like that Churchill kit is certainly going to be such a thing. I might, like you, give up halfway through. The only kit I've done that with before was the Airfix Bismarck, and I don't think that would make for a great video. Michael Hess says, being thankful for another glorious Herbert Erpaderp video is a grand way to begin Thanksgiving this year. Well, you are certainly very welcome. You must be Canadian. I hope you had a really awesome Thanksgiving. I'm sure by the time this is uploaded, the day is well and truly over. I think it's the 10th, isn't it? We don't have Thanksgiving here in Australia, and I've always been a little bit jealous of the Americans and Canadians when they talk about the awesome feasts that they have at Thanksgiving. I don't think we even have anything close to an equivalent holiday here. Maybe Australians are just a bunch of ungrateful bastards. What I do know is that I'm hungry now. On my Airfix Sherman Calliope video, Spitfire says, excellent video thanks, helped a lot. Gotta say, you seemed very unlucky with your mold. I'm putting mine together as I type this, and it's gone pretty flush so far. We'll definitely be watching more of your videos. Thanks, I'm glad I could be helpful. I've been thinking about this, and I wonder if because I live in Australia, and bought kits like the Calliope off the shelf at a hobby shop, maybe this is just stock that has been sitting around for ages, and maybe people in other areas where the kits sell quicker are getting newer kits that have had better quality control. Seems like a kind of half-baked notion, but maybe something like that is happening. Probably not intentionally or with any kind of malice towards Australia, but maybe. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just plain unlucky. Either way, I'm glad to hear your Calliope is going together better than mine. And thus concludes the answering of questions and responding to of comments. Before I go, I figured I would share a channel that I've come across recently that I'm quite enjoying. Kathy Millett. I think she was mentioned in a Terranscapes video. She's not a wargamer, she does model railway stuff, but what she does is really quite good, and I'm sure some of you might find her videos helpful too. She does these little skit things at the end of her videos which some might find a little bit weird, but she's clearly enjoying herself, so why not? And she does good work, and a good job of explaining and showing what she's doing. There's a lot you can learn from railway modelers in general and apply to wargaming. I'll post a link to Kathy's channel in the description, so if you are interested in that, go and check it out. On that note, if you know of any really good YouTube channels, I'd be interested in knowing about them. They don't necessarily have to be related to wargaming or models. Most of the YouTube channels I'm already subscribed to aren't. I also enjoy space and science, comedy, and unsurprisingly, video games. And of course, there are no promises that I'll go and subscribe to them or share them in my videos or anything like that, but I'm always interested in seeing something new. So that's about enough rambling from me. Time to end the video. But first, a huge thanks to my latest patron, Steve Foster. Thanks for your support. If you want to be awesome like Steve, you too can help support the channel on Patreon. Simply click the Patreon logo on screen now, or the link in the video description. For as little as $1 per month, patrons get to see my videos early along with some patron-only bonus content. If you'd rather not, that's okay. I hope you enjoy my videos anyway. If you've got any comments, questions, or suggestions, leave them in the appropriate location below. The appropriate location being the comments box. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you thought it was trash, thumbs down. I shall return soon, so until then, happy modelling and thanks for watching. Farewell.